Welcome to No Ordinary Woman, where we recognise and celebrate women of all ages and all stages. I'm Fiona Briffa, and today I'm talking to Amanda Thomas, who is going to share with us her story about being single for over 20 years and some of the things that go with that, some of the fears, some of the doubts, some of the worries, and things like that. So, hi, Amanda, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Fiona. Thanks for having me.
It's really, I'm not, obviously I've heard some of your story already, and you went through between 20 and about 42 being single and just getting on with life and thinking it'll happen eventually. And then obviously you get to a certain age where you start to worry and wonder, is this ever going to happen for me? And what about kids? Because my biological clock is ticking. So talk us through that.
Yeah. So, I think it always starts when you're about, 24, 25, because all your friends are starting to get married. But in the back of your mind, you kind of think, I've got a little bit of time up my sleeve. And then you get to about 30 and it still hasn't happened. But, you're still okay because, there's friends in your world that are having babies and everything in their 30s. But after you turn 30, every year the ticking becomes a little bit louder.
Yeah.
And then for me, I'm pretty sure it was just before I turned 40. I just woke up this one morning with this sudden realization that perhaps I had missed the boat and perhaps I may never actually have children. And what was that going to be like for me, and how was I going to process this, and who was going to look after me when I got old? So yeah, it was a very scary, very heart-wrenching, very heartbreaking moment when I realized that.
So what goes through your mind? Like what sort of questions are you asking yourself? What sort of things are you telling yourself around this moment, waking up and going, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think like, you have your good voice and your bad voice,
yeah,
like in your head. So, my bad voice is like, oh my gosh, you're going to be alone forever. No one's going to want you. Even the kids in your world, they're going to have their own parents to look after. And what is that going to look like for you? You're going to be some old crazy lady that lives in the back of someone's yard that, that they're kind of begrudgingly looking after.
yeah,
And, the good voice is like, oh, but you've got nieces and nephews and, you've invested in the lives of some kids, you know, uh, and become like an adopted auntie. For sure, they're going to look after you. But I think it's just this really like confronting of what am I going to put in place in my world now?
uh,
Because the reality of the fact that I'm not going to have my own children and there's no man in sight and there's no marriage on the cards right now,
yeah,
and what does that actually look like for me, and how am I going to process that? So um like I had friends, I had a great network. I was part of my church that brought a whole like family community. I wasn't
yeah,
only for friendships,
yeah,
but it was just the reality of, when push comes to shove,
yeah,
blood is thicker than water.
yeah.
And so when you get old, am I going to be left in a little nursing home with no one to come visit me? So
Yeah. No, that would be really, really confronting to you're sort of skipping along in your life and thinking it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and then oh my gosh, I'm 40, and
mm,
then you start worrying. So
yeah.
how do you start to talk to yourself to overcome those fears and doubts and worries?
Yeah. Well, I guess for me, I'm a Christian. I've got a faith.
Yeah,
So, there is a big part of that where I really did believe that God had a plan and
yeah,
has a plan.
yeah,
And as difficult as it was, I did always trust Him in that.
yeah,
Um, it's normal though to question it. It's normal
yeah.
to go, okay,
Where
well,
is he?
where is he and what are you doing? And I know your
Where's the
timing's great,
plan?
but right now it really sucks. And I'd really
Yeah,
like to know the plan on this.
yeah,
But I also had I've got a really close relationship with my sister, and I had some really good, strong girlfriends in my world.
yeah.
And I remember my sister actually rang me this morning. She's got this incredible ability to just know when I'm not right.
Oh,
And she rang me and she said to me, your niece and your nephew are going to fight over you. You're always going to have people in your world.
Oh,
She said, Juzzy's girls, she was another good friend of mine.
yeah.
They're going to want to, look after you.
Oh, bless them.
And then I was talking to Juzzy about this, and she goes, "Oh my goodness, my three girls are going to fight over you. Like it's okay." And I think just those two things, in like knowing deep down that God does have it, but
Yeah.
also knowing that there were people in my world that would support me through
Yeah.
my old age. And I know that 40 isn't old, but you do then start to.
Yes.
I'm a planner, right? I
Yes.
have to have a plan.
Yes.
So
Oh,
you do start to think about the plan of what's
yeah.
this going to look like, and so that gave me a little bit of peace. And I think
Yeah.
for me, I just then started to really make sure that I was constantly investing in
Mm.
the younger generation, um,
Oh,
so that they could, mentoring, being a great auntie to
yeah.
both my actual blood niece and nephew, and then my adopted nieces, just to make sure that I wasn't a forgotten figure in their world as they got
Yeah. You're
older.
still
So
leaving a legacy of your goodness and
yeah.
making sure your love and your support and your encouragement is being poured into someone.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
that's the other thing, when you're a parent, I often hear my friends sort of talk about their parents, and they're like, oh, they were such an amazing person. Whereas I would have no one that could really say that about me. And I wanted to be able to leave a legacy. I felt like I had and have journeyed a pretty incredible life. So I wanted to be able to impart some of that wisdom and knowledge into the lives of those that were yet to be there. So
But you're
yeah.
probably already doing it. You're probably already leaving your legacy and your imprint on these young people. Do you feel like you're being more proactively contributing to the young ones now?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was, you're right. I was already doing it, but I think just being more aware of it,
Yeah.
and making an even more focused effort
Yeah.
on 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 doing that and being there for them. And now it kind of had a bit of a selfish taint to it. So, so they'd look after me when I got old. So
Not me, damn it.
yeah, look at what I've done for you all your life.
This is going
So
to come back and bite you.
that's right.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, you are just an absolute ray of sunshine. I can't imagine you not imprinting on young people and other people around you as well. And I think it's beautiful that you can see that, And I think if anyone's watching that is in that same position and just thinks, who am I impacting? Look at all the people you are impacting, even if they're not your own biological child, whether it's
Mm,
your friends' kids or kids in the community or wherever, you still have the opportunity to make your mark and to leave,
yeah.
leave your love and your encouragement behind
Yeah,
after
and
you're gone.
so true. And I think one of the things that I didn't realize until I started doing it was that kids don't always actually want to talk to their parents, but they
Yeah,
will be more than happy to talk to the cool adopted aunt, because
yeah,
she's actually not related.
yeah,
So they'll actually tell you way more,
yeah,
and give you way more opportunities to be able to speak into their world. So,
yeah,
and I didn't realize this until, like, I would say maybe 12 months after really stepping in as an adopted aunt to my adopted niece. But her mum actually showed me a book that she'd brought home from school. It was like an art book,
yeah,
and they had to write on someone that had really impacted their world. It was an assignment,
yeah.
and she never told me about this. I didn't know about it, but there was this whole page on Auntie Mans.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and Auntie Mans does this, and she doesn't
Oh,
judge me, and she's always there to listen to me. And so just took a photo of it and sent it to me, and I'm like, wow, like you never hear about it,
yeah.
but you just don't know what you're
This,
doing.
yeah, this is the thing. You're always impacting, and yeah, the more consciously aware of it we are, the better. But
Yeah.
still, yeah. So, but also to acknowledge, I think it still must be, even though we can go, let's put a positive spin on it and go, we can impact other kids. It still must be hard though to feel that I'm not going to actually have my own child to
Yeah.
imprint upon.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that kind of, is it a grief? Like, what is it? Like when you
Yeah.
realize you're not going to have a baby, is there a grieving process?
Definitely a grieving process. Definitely a grieving process. Because as a woman, like your body has been preparing to
Yeah.
have this child that is now never going to happen.
Yeah.
And yes, there's other things that you can put in place of that,
Yeah.
but you can't deny that there's
Still
not
have
a
to
grieving
acknowledge.
process. Like, you have to allow yourself to grieve it. And I think I did, like, and even still now, even still now, I think I'm never going to have my own.
Yeah.
And I'll never know what it's like to have a baby growing inside of me. I'll
Yeah.
never know the bond, the
Yeah.
true bond between a mother and a child. I'll
Mm.
never know what it's like to breastfeed a child. Like, all of those deep connections, I'll
Yeah.
never really know.
Yeah.
And I can't reason that out. I
No.
just have to grieve it. I
Yeah.
can't
I think
put a
that's
positive spin on it. It's
yeah.
just how it is, and I've got to come to a place of acceptance with it,
Yeah.
and just know that for some reason that's just not my story.
Yeah, I think that, thank you for saying that and being so honest about that too, because I think it's really important that if anybody is watching, that you know that it's okay to not have to, everything's not all unicorns and roses. And I'm
Yeah,
like the world's most positive person. It's still important to allow yourself to process and
yeah,
grieve and think something sucks.
yeah,
Like just to go, this really sucks, but then process it and move through it, and then I don't know whether you would even get over it, but then just keep going on with it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
reckon?
Yeah, look, I think for me, if there's anything in it, I'm like, I can actually now relate to women that can't have children,
Yeah.
or that have never done that
Mm.
before. In the back of my mind, when I've had my girlfriends that have been walking down that journey, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I can understand because I'm kind of there, but I'm not really there because there might be a possibility that I
Yes.
can.
Yeah.
Whereas now I can't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be 46 this year.
Mm.
So, the reality is that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so now it's definitely that grief. And it's grief is like a bit of a wave. You get over it for a
Yeah.
little bit, and it's okay, and then something will happen out of the blue.
Yeah.
It might even be like a Kleenex ad, and there's some little baby, and you'll start to get a little bit emotional and
Yeah.
teary, and everything is great in your life, but
Yeah.
it's just this reminder again
That's
that, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So, and it's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I think that's a really nice thing for people to hear, that it's okay to go through that wave of whatever you have to feel.
Yeah.
By all means, feel it. And like you said, now you're able to identify and come alongside other women that are journeying through not being able to have babies. So you're using it for good
Yeah.
while you go through it. But I just wanted to let our viewers know that it has turned out well in another area, because Amanda did what a lot of us have done. I too did this, and found a guy on internet dating site. I don't know anybody in my world that actually hasn't at the moment. So you met Mr. Right.
Yes.
And tell us about it, but wait for it though. It wasn't just, she didn't just meet a guy, she met a whole zoo. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I met my husband maybe 3 years ago now, on internet dating, Christian Connection,
Yep.
and he came with 4 children of his own.
Yes.
So we've got now we've got an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, 18-year-old son, 17-year-old daughter,
Yep.
and then 2 twin girls that are going to turn 12 next week.
Wow.
On top of that, we have one permanent dog, one dog that comes with them, 2 cats, fish, and we had a gecko, but the gecko died. Thank God.
Oh,
So, I went from like a single woman in a 1-bedroom unit with a cat,
yeah.
to now a stepmother of 4, a wife,
Yeah.
and then like 4 fur babies. Yeah.
So, and that's what I meant by zoo. I was not talking about the children. For anyone watching, go, what the hell is she saying?
Although that is like a zoo sometimes.
All animals in the house as well. So just let's touch on that then. So you have been single for 42 years. Well, not single for 42 years, but you've been on your own, living your own life, doing your own thing. And suddenly you are now faced with being a stepmom, integrating into an already existing functioning family.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. Look, It was really scary.
Oh,
Like, and I was so torn with the emotion because I was so excited to have finally found someone.
yes.
And so I didn't want to be ungrateful because I knew that, that this man was totally who I needed to be with
Yes.
and totally that was my story. But then this whole fear of walking into an already established home, already established relationships,
Yeah.
you didn't get to have the baby and have those moments when it was
Work it out.
cute. And now when it's being a real poo head,
Yeah.
like you can just recall on those little cute
Yeah.
moments. I don't have that.
Not worth
So
it.
when they're being poos, they're really being poos. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. It's like being
um,
a new kid at school.
it
Like you're just walking
is.
in, there's already established relationships. Everybody knows what they're doing, and you're just awkward and walking in there going, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even.
Yeah, they have their set plans, like one of the things in our house is Steve didn't want to always wash up cups. So they have their own cups. I had to get on the cup thing.
Yeah.
They've got their initials on it. I didn't know that. He kind of forgot to tell me that. I
Yeah.
couldn't work out why they were being so precious over a cup.
Yeah.
That was one disaster.
Yeah.
But they have their ways and as much as, they were really supportive of our relationship and really supportive of us getting married,
Yeah.
there was still that awkwardness of
Oh,
the fact
sure.
that now there's a woman in
Yeah.
dad's bed
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in dad's room,
It'll be
and
weird for them.
it's weird. So I had my stepson say to me the other day, we had a real moment where he just said to me, I didn't like you
Yeah.
when you first moved in. Like, it
Fair
wasn't
enough.
that you did anything wrong, but you were just a step parent and I
You're
didn't
not
know how to
mum.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, like, thanks for telling me that. But
Yeah.
like I appreciated it. Yay. I
Yeah.
did call you the thing that lived in your room for the first 12 months, but so we're even.
We're even. Yeah.
But
I can't even imagine. Well, my husband came with no kids, and he married me, and I had two teenagers, really, really good ones. So I was really lucky.
yeah.
But I didn't even think of what it would be like for him being the new kid in school.
Yeah.
Um, until I talked to other people, I thought, wow, yeah, like, because it wasn't weird for me. Like,
Yeah.
it would be weird for him and weird for my kids,
Yeah.
new person as well. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of adapting and adjusting and grace and patience and compromising. Let's use that
Yes.
word to work this blended family.
But even transitioning two houses into one,
Oh yeah,
and it wasn't just me that was having the issues. Like Steve had issues as well. Like, no, I've already got that. You don't need to bring it with you. No, but I want to because it's mine, and I want to bring some things that are mine. I don't care
yeah,
that you've already got it. Like, you can get rid of yours. I want mine.
yeah,
So it was hard.
yeah.
Some of the things I didn't budge on. So we've got two of.
Yes,
But when we bought a house and moved, we kind of got rid of some of those things.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it was hard for both of us.
yeah.
Not just hard for me, but hard for him as well.
Hard for
So
him, hard for the kids, hard for the kids.
yeah,
And this is the thing, like offline, where we're talking about there's just no normal or right way to do life and family. There is no such thing like a rule book or a playbook. It just doesn't exist. And we were just saying that we go through life and we look at other people's lives, and we were saying uh, the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, but then you look at the green grass, at what cost?
yeah,
How much is their water bill? There's
yeah,
always a cost for the life that looks greener and
yeah,
than our life, but
yeah,
other people are looking at ours thinking that we've got the best one. So
yeah,
just do your version of whatever life looks
yeah,
like. It's going to be hard. It's going to be messy. It's going to be amazing. Just
yeah.
just make it
Yeah.
what it is.
I think there's good things and bad things to, on in every season that you're
Definitely.
in.
Yeah,
Like when I was single, I'm like, I really want to be able to, share my bed with someone and
yeah,
wake up next to someone or,
yeah.
have someone that I can come home to and talk to. Now that I'm married, I'm like, I
Like, oh,
really miss going out for brunch,
yeah,
having my own time. I really miss just being able to go shopping and spend the money that I want to spend,
yeah,
or do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so it's but I do have the good things that I was yearning for. But then, there are times where I wish that I didn't have to deal with, the kids or, the husband or
yeah.
anything like that. So there's good and bad
There's
to
good and bad to every
every
scenario you
situation.
can think of in life. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really important message as well, is that um, life is good and bad, no matter what version you're doing. Like you said, what season you're in.
Yeah.
About making the most of the good, appreciating all the good, and then just like knowing that this too shall pass, anything
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a really great story. And you are no ordinary woman. You have gone through 20 years on your own to be thrown in at the deep end as a stepmom of 4
Yeah.
and a stepmom of 75 animals as well.
Yep.
And being able to adapt to that. And you know what? Those kids will be so lucky to have you because you're a beautiful human being.
Oh, thank you.
And I just thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. And if anyone's got any questions for Amanda, you can leave them in the comments down below. I'm sure Amanda would be happy to answer them.
More than happy.
Yep, if there's questions. And I just thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing your story with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for watching and being with us for another episode of No Ordinary Woman. We'll look forward to seeing you next time with another No Ordinary Woman. Bye for now.